Good morning, students. Last time we were talking about plasma membrane. We discussed fluid mosaic model of plasma membrane, then different functions that plasma membranes are going to perform. Today we are going to see how transportation occurs with the help of plasma membrane. See, transportation means that movement of substances is going to occur through this plasma membrane, and movement of substances occurs through three methods through plasma membrane: by passive transport, active transport, and bulk transport. What do we understand by passive transport? It simply means the mode of transport is passive. That means there is no utilization of energy. So no extra energy is required. Then how the molecules are going to move? They are just going to move with the help of the kinetic energy they are having. So here in passive transport no extra energy is required. That means there is no use of ATP. And second thing is that passive transport occurs along the concentration gradient. That means from higher concentration of molecules to their lower concentration. So it is the movement is always along the concentration gradient. It simply means जहाँ molecules की concentration ज़्यादा है, that means those molecules are having more kinetic energy, they are going to move to area जहाँ उनकी concentration कम है. Suppose on one side 1000 molecules are present and on another side 200 are present. Then the movement will be, say this is A and B. So movement is going to occur from A to B. Now if I ask that up to when this movement is going to occur, कब तक होगी ये movement? This movement is going to occur up to that point when there is equalization of concentration. जब दोनों जगह A और B पर concentration equal हो जाएगी तब तक movement हमें visible होती है. After that net movement is going to be zero. जितने molecules A से B की तरफ transport हो रहे हैं उतने ही B से E की तरफ move हो रहे हैं. So 500 molecules are here, 500 over here. Equalization of concentration is there. Both the side A and B concentration is equal. So now after this reaching this stage of equalization, molecules that are moving from A to B will be equal to the movement of molecule from B to A. So we said that at this point there is net movement is going to be zero. This is about passive transport. Plus in passive transport the membrane is not playing much role, and this passive transport is also not affected by change in temperature, or you can say low temperature. So no effect is there. Now if we talk about the type of passive transports, so basically three type of passive transports that generally occurs. One is osmosis, or I'll start with the basic and most simple one, that is diffusion. Second one is osmosis, and the third one is facilitated diffusion. तीनों ही पैसिव ट्रांसपोर्ट के मेथड्स हैं, मीन्स तीनों ही एनर्जी यूज़ नहीं करते हैं. डिफ्यूज़न से हम सिंपली क्या समझते हैं, दैट मूवमेंट ऑफ पार्टिकल्स आर टेकिंग फ्रॉम देयर हायर कंसंट्रेशन टू देयर लोअर कंसंट्रेशन, whether a solid particle is moving, a liquid is moving, or a gaseous molecule is moving. That is diffusion, and there is no requirement of any membrane. While osmosis is, there is movement of solvent from their higher concentration to their lower concentration, plus there is requirement of a semi permeable membrane. So osmosis में सिर्फ solvent का movement होता है, जहाँ सॉल्वेंट की कंसंट्रेशन ज़्यादा है वहाँ से सॉल्वेंट लो कंसंट्रेशन की तरफ मूव करेगा, एंड दैट टू फ्रॉम थ्रू अ सेमी परमिएबल membrane, that is osmosis. Again energy is not required. Facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion take place with the help of some proteins which are known as carrier proteins. These carrier proteins, they are present in plasma membrane. In plasma membrane we talked about that intrinsic proteins are present and extrinsic proteins are present. So these proteins, they are present in the plasma membrane on the external surface, and these are having a binding ability for a particular molecule. So on one side of the plasma membrane, say this is our plasma membrane, this is the extracellular fluid, and this is the intracellular fluid, means cytoplasmic matrix is there, and over here a protein is present. Now this protein is having a binding affinity for a particular molecule, so it is going to bind with the molecule and it is going to move through this plasma membrane. It is going to come here with binding molecule, and finally it is going to come at this intracellular side and it is going to release this molecule over here. So what this carrier protein has done, it has transported a protein, you can say a molecule from outside the cell to inside the cell. So movement of substances is there without requirement of energy, but that is facilitated by a protein, that is helped. So these are the type of passive transport that are occurring through the plasma membrane. Second one is active transport. In active transport, we know that is just opposite to the passive transport. So there is requirement of energy in active transport. It is going to use ATP. After hydrolyzing ATP, ADP is going to form the energy that is liberated, that is used in the movement of substances. Now when energy is used, then a substance can be easily moved from its lower concentration to higher concentration by the utilization of energy. So here movement of substances occurs against the concentration gradient. Means from the lower concentration of the substances to their higher concentration by hydrolyzing a ATP. Plus here there is no requirement of equalization of concentration. Like last time हमने क्या देखा, when 500 and 500 molecules are present on both sides, then net movement is going to be 0. That is not in the case of active transport. After reaching this 500 to 500 situation also, there will be movement of substances from A to B, and at last it will be 0 over here and 1000 over here. So यहाँ पर equalization of concentration की requirement नहीं है, उसके बाद भी movement continuously facilitate होता रहता है. Plus that is a very sensitive process. This active transport always takes place with the help of a membrane. So here a plasma membrane is always required. You can say a semi membrane is always required, and this active transport is very sensitive to change in temperature, or there is some kind of inhibitor that is present, like cyanide is there. So change in temperature, inhibitors, they are going to affect or block active transport. So these are going to affect our process of active transport. Now if we take example of active transport, then active transport occurs with the help of pumps. Like the common one is which we talked about already when we were discussing about conduction of nerve impulse, that is a sodium potassium exchange pump. What this sodium potassium exchange pump is doing? It is helping in the movement of sodium ions. So through this sodium potassium exchange pump, 3 sodium ions are going to move outside the cell and 2 potassium ions are coming inside. So outer side more sodium ions are present, so this will acquire, the extracellular surface is going to acquire positive charge, while inner side there is less positive charge, or you can say less number of potassium, so a negative charge is there, and that is our resting membrane potential, or our cell is present in polarized form. सो सोडियम पोटेशियम एक्सचेंज पंप एटीपी को हाइड्रोलाइज करके 3 सोडियम आयंस को बाहर मूव करवाता है सेल के, और 2 पोटेशियम आयंस को अंदर मूव करवाता है विद यूजिंग एटीपी. सो दिस इज नोन एज प्राइमरी एक्टिव ट्रांसपोर्ट दैट इज अकरिंग बाय कंजम्पशन ऑफ एटीपी. It is primary active transport. Now many of the times utilization of ATP facilitates the movement of another ions. So after primary transport, this phenomena is favoring the movement of another ion also. That is the example of secondary active transport. So what secondary active transport is? In which the energy that is used in primary active transport is favoring the movement of other ions also. So sometimes in some of the cells, like in RBCs and liver cells, this sodium potassium exchange pump, the ATP utilized by this is helping in the movement of glucose inside the cell. So movement of glucose because of this pump is a secondary active process that is facilitated by this primary active transport. So that is secondary active transport, that is movement of glucose. So secondary active transport can only be possible if primary active transport is taking place. अगर primary active transport नहीं हो रहा है तो secondary active transport भी नहीं होगा. So these are going to be moving one by one. Now this is active transport. The third one is bulk transport. Bulk word simply means lots of substance is going to enter inside the cell. In bulk, substances are going to enter inside the cell. Now two situations can be there, that lots of substances are going to enter inside, they are moving inside the cell, inward movement is there, that is known as endocytosis, or substances are going to leave the cell, that is exocytosis. So endocytosis and exocytosis, it can be of two types. One is endocytosis, which simply states that inward movement of bulk of the substances, and exocytosis means outward movement. Now this inward and outward movement, let's talk about endocytosis first. In endocytosis there can be movement of solute particles, or you can say solid substance is going to enter inside the cell. So entering of bulk of solid substance inside the cell is known as phagocytosis. And if fluid, liquid is going to enter, is going to be taken by the cell, that is known as pinocytosis. This is cell eating, and pinocytosis means cell drinking, when cell is going to take liquid substances. Now both the processes are going to occur because of the invagination of the plasma membrane. Whenever a substance is going to come, bulk of the substance is going to come, say this is a cell. So at the place where this substance is present, plasma membrane is going to invaginate and it is going to form a pocket like structure, cavity over here, and finally it is going to grow and detach off in form of a vesicle, and this vesicle is enclosing the material that was present outside the cell, and finally cell has intaken that material. If it is in liquid form, then this vesicle will be known as pinosome, and if it is in solid form, that it is known as phagosome. Now inside the cells we know that lysosome is present. So that is having hydrolytic enzymes, so that will be responsible for degradation of these substances. So if solid material is present, then it is going to, this phagosome is going to fuse with lysosome. This is lysosome. And if liquid material is present, then liquid is absorbed directly, so there is no requirement of hydrolytic enzyme. So this is a phagosome. When these solid particles are going to come in contact with these enzymes, these enzymes are going to degrade these solid particles, and all the particles will be reused by the cells, and the leftover particle is the residual body, that is a waste. And by the process of exocytosis, this residual body will be removed out of the cell. This is how pinocytosis, both are occurring same, but the thing is, here the cell is going to intake liquid matter, here solid matter is taken, and for the breakdown or digestion of solid material, there is requirement of hydrolytic enzymes which are present in lysosome. So here proper degradation of these solid material occur, cell is going to use the soluble forms, the waste is remaining, that is acting as a residual body, and cell is going to move out this residual body by the process of exocytosis. So again, this residual body is going to move towards the plasma membrane, then it is going to fuse with the plasma membrane. Over here it is going to fuse with the plasma membrane, and finally it is going to move out of the cell. So this is how endocytosis and exocytosis is occurring inside the cell, that is with the help of plasma membrane. So these are some of the methods that how transportation occurs through plasma membrane. Our next topic is cytoplasm. You know that cytoplasm is a jelly-like matrix that is present inside the cell, and different cell organelles are present over here. Now this cytoplasm is having two states, the sol state and the gel state. The sol state is known as plasma sol and plasma gel. This plasma gel is present just below the plasma membrane. That means the outer cytoplasm that is present is the plasma gel. It is going to form the ectoplast, the boundaries, and the inner side, the cytoplasm is present is the plasma sol. So it is the endoplast. This cytoplasm is playing very important role. Different functions are performed by this cytoplasm. The main function of this cytoplasm are that it is going to provide raw material. Lots of substances, amino acids, fatty acids, glycerols, then different sugars are present which are acting as a raw material for different metabolic reactions. Then it is going to act as a connection, transport of substances between different organelles. The organelles are going to release their product in the cytoplasm, and then they are transported to the different organelles. They are also a site of release of product, because all the organelles are going to release their products inside the cytoplasm. It is providing a platform for different metabolic activities, because lots of activities are occurring in cytoplasm of the cell. Like in plants also, various respiratory steps are there that are occurring in glycolysis is occurring in cytoplasm, translation most important occurring in cytoplasm. So it is providing a platform for metabolic activities. And cytoplasmic streaming is there. Means the cytoplasm is not going to be stable, it is continuously in motion, moving form, that is known as cytoplasmic streaming. And lots of membrane bound organelles are present in this cytoplasm. Some are double membrane bound organelles, some are single membrane bound organelles. So we are going to discuss the membrane bound organelles that are present in cytoplasm, and the first organelle which we are going to discuss is endoplasmic reticulum. We all have listened about endoplasmic reticulum. This is a three-dimensional organelle that is having a complex structure. A single membrane bound organelle. The three-dimensional and complex structure. Now this endoplasmic reticulum is going to be found associated with the plasma membrane. It is having a connection with plasma membrane and connection with nucleus. So it is going to connect the plasma membrane with nucleus. So that is going to maintain the shape of a cell. Plus extra, this endoplasmic reticulum is a large size organelle that is going to divide the cell into two compartments. The luminal part where this endoplasmic reticulum is present, and the exluminal part, other region except this endoplasmic reticulum. So the two compartments are going to be formed, luminar and extraluminal part. So this is the part that is formed by endoplasmic reticulum, and rest of the part left is extraluminal part. Now endoplasmic reticulum is found more in those cells which are metabolically active. They are continuously involved in the synthesis of lipids, fats, proteins. So in those cells the number of endoplasmic reticulum will be more, and the cells that are metabolically inert or less active like sieve cells are there, these are going to lack these endoplasmic reticulum. RBCs are mammalian, mature mammalian RBCs are not having endoplasmic reticulum. Sieve cells are not going to have endoplasmic reticulum. Now we are having two types of endoplasmic reticulum depending upon the presence and absence of ribosomes on them. These are smooth endoplasmic reticulum, and second one is rough endoplasmic reticulum. Now it is, the upper one is going to be appearing smooth because on its surface ribosomes are not present. So ribosomes are absent. That's why it is going to be appearing smooth. It is going to come from rough endoplasmic reticulum. So if ribosomes will be removed from this rough endoplasmic reticulum, that is going to be converted into smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum is involved in the synthesis of lipids, sterols. So these are going to be found more in those cells that are involved in the storage and synthesis of fats, like glycogen that is stored in liver cells. So they are having more of the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Then we are having adipose cells, muscle cells that are also involved in the purpose of storage of fats. So adipose cells, muscle cells, all these are going to have more number of smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So the function will be involved in synthesis of lipids and sterols. Now the second, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, they are appearing rough or they are having a granular structure just because they are having ribosomes on their surface. These are having some of the glycoproteins that are involved in the attachment of ribosomes on their surface. So glycoproteins are present for attachment of ribosomes. And we know that ribosomes are the protein factories. So, what function these rough endoplasmic reticulum are going to perform? They will be involved in the synthesis of proteins. Now, see what is they. These rough endoplasmic reticulum are present on the surface of ribosomes are present on the surface of rough endoplasmic reticulum. So, basically this RER is having a tunnel or a pore through which the newly formed proteins are going to enter inside the endoplasmic reticulum, and further modifications, packaging of these proteins are going to occur inside the endoplasmic reticulum, and they will be more present in those cells which are involved in protein synthesis, like pancreatic acne cells are there, acnes cells are there, or you can say acne cells are there, which are going to release pancreatic juice. Different enzymes are present, goblet cells are there, intestinal cells are there. So, these cells are involved more and more in synthesis. That's why they are having this rough endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum is also working along with Golgi bodies, and it is involved in the formation of lysosomes also. That is also done by rough endoplasmic reticulum. And if we talk about the structure of rough endoplasmic reticulum, then there are the three things that are making the structure of rough endoplasmic reticulum. Cisternae are there, tubules are present, and they are having vesicles. Cisternae are sac-like structures which are arranged parallel to each other, and they are enclosing a matrix that is having a fluid that is different from the cytoplasmic fluid. This is how the cisternae are arranged. And tubules, they are again tube-like structures. They might be connected with the cisternae or not, and they are present on the lower surface. This is how the tubules are going to be present. And vesicles are like vacuoles, small vacuoles which are present in the cytoplasm. So, these three are going to combine together to form the endoplasmic reticulum. If we talk about smooth endoplasmic reticulum, then in smooth endoplasmic reticulum the number of tubules and vesicles are more in SER, while if we talk about rough endoplasmic reticulum, then the number of cisternae are going to be more, because these inside this cisternae a newly formed protein will enter, and modification of this protein is going to occur in these cisternae. So, this is how endoplasmic reticulum is present. Now, let us discuss about the functions performed by endoplasmic reticulum. See, these are some of the functions of endoplasmic reticulum, combined functions of endoplasmic reticulum. They are providing large surface area for various physiological activities that are occurring in cell. The second one, it is acting as a cytoskeleton. So, it is maintaining the shape of the cell, because I already told you that is going to one end of endoplasmic reticulum will be connected with plasma membrane, and the second end is connected with the nucleus of the cell. So, the cell shape is going to be maintained, plus it is also helping to keep all the organelles in their proper position along with the microtubules and microfibrils that are present inside the cell. Now, they have control movement of materials. We know that the plasmodesmata, they are having the extensions of endoplasmic reticulum, and through these plasma membranes the adjacent cells are going to exchange their material. So, in that also endoplasmic reticulum is involved. Then provide membrane to nuclear envelope when cell division is there. So, after the end of telophase, the nuclear membrane nuclear envelope is provided by this endoplasmic reticulum. Then it is acting as a precursor for different secretory substances to Golgi bodies. because Golgi bodies is also involved in modification of substances, whether they are proteins or sugars. So these are going to be provided by endoplasmic reticulum to the Golgi apparatus. Then it is giving rise to vacuoles, like vesicles are formed. These vesicles are going to enlarge, they are going to store sap, and they becomes vacuoles, and they are involved in the complexing of lipids and proteins. So it is involved in the formation of lipoproteins. The lipids are going to be combined with proteins and lipoproteins are going to be formed. So these are common functions of endoplasmic reticulum. But if we talk about specific functions of RER and SER, then we know that RER are having specific glycoproteins for the attachment of ribosomes. So ribosomes are present on their surface, they are involved in protein synthesis, they are giving rise to enzymes that will be part of lysosomes further. They are involved in various secretory enzymes, or you can say enzymes that are present in our digestive system. So all these are going to come from these RER. Plus this RER is also give rise to SER after discarding ribosomes present on their surface, where the SER, they are going to be present in those cells which are involved in lipid and steroid synthesis, and as a sarcoplasmic reticulum, they are going to store calcium ions. They are also involved in the process of detoxification also, detoxification of the drugs which we are taking. So these are some of the specific functions and combined functions as a whole. So that's all about endoplasmic reticulum. Now we are going to discuss about the second organelle, that is Golgi apparatus, and these are making a endomembrane system, because they are working in contact with each other. Endoplasmic reticulum, then lysosomes are there, then Golgi bodies are there, they are working combinedly in contact with each other. So a endomembranous system is formed. So let's see how Golgi bodies look like and how it is functioning. So again, Golgi bodies or Golgi apparatus is a single membrane bound organelle, and that is having a very complex structure. That's why we use the word Golgi complex. That was first observed by Camillo Golgi. That's why we have given the name Golgi apparatus. Now this Golgi apparatus is also made up of cisternae, tubules, vesicles and vacuoles. And it is also involved, the function, basically the most important function is it is involved in the modification or complexity of molecules. Simply write modification of molecules. If we see the presence of Golgi bodies, then it is going to be absent in prokaryotic cells, in mycoplasma, and will be present in most of the eukaryotic cells. But sometimes absent in eukaryotic cells also, again in mature RBCs, mammalian RBCs, then sieve tubes. Golgi bodies in plants, what happens, these Golgi bodies are present in small subunits, they are scattered, and there they are known as dictyosomes. So in plant cells they are known as dictyosomes, as they are present in small subunits, while in animal cells the whole Golgi apparatus is going to present in one single position. Now the cisternae, these are again going to be the sac-like structures that are going to lie parallel to each other. So generally 4 to 8 cisternae are going to be present in a Golgi apparatus, and they are also going to have a matrix, they are going to enclose a lumen that will be having a fluid. Again tubules are associated with this Golgi apparatus. So let's see, first let's talk about cisternae, after that we are going to move to the tubules. See, most important thing you must know about Golgi bodies is that Golgi bodies is having two faces. One face is having a convex shape. So this face is having a convex shape, that is known as cis face, or also known as forming face. or you can say immature phase. The second phase of cistern is having a concave shape, that is known as trans phase or maturing phase. Why we are saying this? They simply have a reason. This cis phase is going to receive vesicles that are containing proteins, and these vesicles are coming from endoplasmic reticulum. So these vesicles are going to fuse on this surface. Proteins are present inside these vesicles, and these proteins are still immature proteins. Modifications that are going to convert this immature proteins into mature proteins is going to occur in these cisternae. So because immature proteins are going to fuse on this side, that's why it is known as forming phase or mature phase. When the proteins are going to enter in the lumen of the cisternae, here lots of modification, they are going to travel like this way, and upon traveling through these cisternae, lots of modifications are going to occur in these proteins, and finally they will be converted into their active form or mature form. And from this trans phase they are going to move out again by packaging in the vesicles. So that's why it is known as maturing phase, because from here mature proteins are going to leave out. These are going to be more complex, more modified, and finally in their fully functional form. Now again the second structure, tubules are going to be present over here. So tubules are going to be present on the trans phase. They will be associated with cisternaes. So a complex structure will be formed by these tubules, plus from these tubules are associated with vesicles, and this is cisternae, tubules and vesicles, and vacuoles are going to come out from these cisternae. There will be modification, and from here vacuoles are going to come out. So this is how a cis phase and trans phase is present, which is going to function differently, and this is how Golgi bodies is functioning. Now let's discuss about the functions of Golgi complex. These are the functions of Golgi apparatus. The first one is secretion. The glandular cells that are present, they are basically dependent upon these Golgi bodies for their secretion. Then transformation of membrane, it is going to change the membranes, like membrane of endoplasmic reticulum is being changed by this Golgi apparatus. Glycoproteins and glycolipids are formed. It is going to combine these lipids and proteins with carbohydrates for the formation of glycolipids and glycoproteins. There are simple carbohydrates like galactose, sialic acid, which are going to be formed in the Golgi apparatus. Then complex carbohydrates are formed like chondroitin sulfate, hyaluronic acid. All these are formed by the Golgi bodies. Our endocrine glands, they are going to be associated with Golgi bodies for the secretion of hormones. Then fat transport, for the transport of fat also our intestine is going to absorb fatty acids and glycerols through the lacteals, that will be mediated by the Golgi bodies. In sperms there will be formation of acrosome that is going to penetrate the ovum, that is the modification of Golgi apparatus. Then vitellogenesis in the oocytes. This Golgi complex is going to act as a center around which yolk is going to deposit. Formation of lysosomes we have already talked about. Along with endoplasmic reticulum, it is going to form lysosomes and lysosomal enzymes. There will be formation of new cell wall. Pectin material is required, that will be formed by these Golgi complex. So it is involved in the formation of cell wall, plus the vesicles that are formed by the Golgi bodies. These vesicles are going to fuse with the plasma lemma, and they are also giving rise to plasma lemma. So these are some of the functions of Golgi complex. Next time we are going to discuss about some more cell organelles.